What up, dogs? I'm Tito. Next video, in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the next light weapon. Welcome to the most useless light weapon in the entire game, Norricum. So, this weapon is so trash. It's been trash pretty much the entire time. Obviously, back in the day, it would have been more effective, but today's game, the Norricum is basically just a waste of resources. More or less, unless you just want to kind of troll, basically. Okay, so for those who don't know anything about the Noricum, never bothered to use it or whatever, it does have 1,100 meters range. You know, some of the most one of the longest ranges in the game. Um, Pretty much maximum range. So basically, it just launches rockets, and you have to be very good at aiming. Uh, where basically where you think your enemy is going to be, just in order to use these. So you not only are they trash, there's a learning curve just to be able to make them the most effective they can be, which is not even at max capacity. There's an most effective. Like even if someone sits in one spot, you know, most bots these days are not going to be affected very much by that. Um, yeah. Okay, so there's only a handful of bots that I think you could technically play them on. You're probably not going to have too much fun playing them on, simply because, you know, the weapon is just so outdated, and they're just not very versatile at all um, when it comes to playing the game anymore. Um, like there's a few different ways that you can make them just a little bit more effective, but not to the point where it's like, oh, you know, you should run this because it's really, really fun. No, nothing like that. So the first bot that most people would probably think about running the Norricum is going to be the general pattern. So people would run this back in the day, you know, around 4, and then it used to be kind of annoying to be hit by them, but now the weapon is so weak and the weapon bots everyone's running, you know, it's just not that, it's not as annoying as it used to be. But yeah, 4 lights on there, and I don't think there's any modules on a pattern. Yeah, there's no modules on a pattern, so unless you have sort of pilot on there, or a drone on there in order to maximize your damage output and your effectiveness with it, it's not going to do very much. But um, those 4 light slots, and because you probably would be staying behind cover for the entire match, or however long you're using this for, that's what would end up making it more effective. Even though no one's going to use it, no one's probably going to use it or waste the resources on using it anymore. And the next robot that is basically almost essentially the same thing, only difference being is that you have only 2 available at one time, would be the GGE. So you would equip 4, and then you'd be able to fire, you know, 1 volley of 2 Norricum clips, and then switch to the next one. Although, like I said, you have to be able to know how to aim basically to where your enemy is going to be, not where they're at. Because if you aim where they're at, it's going to take a long time before, like, by the time your Norricums land, you could already be dead, because the enemy could literally be on you in seconds if you don't get sniped or something. I don't know if anyone actually ever ran a build like that on a GGE, but I can't imagine it's going to be very, you know, you just have to figure out what you're going to be able to do, because this also does not have any modules on it. Sorry if I'm being just a little bit quiet. There are people in the house. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not bothering anyone. So the next option would be Ditgus, because this is another bot that most people don't really run anymore. It's not that effective past you know, the first few leagues. But to run 2 Norricums and a Zen on that is something I think people, they probably did it a decent amount back in the day, but I can't. It is not nearly it's not nearly as much as one of these the next build. Now Yeah, this also does not have modules on it, not that I know of. So you'd have to be hard pressed to probably put a pilot on there or something. The next one, which people used to run all the time, even so to the point that it literally comes pre-built on the bot, is Norricums on a Natasha. But they would also run Norricum Zenits. So 2 Norricums and 2 Zenits on a Natasha, and people would run that because back in the day, when the game first came out in like 2014, that would have been like the most firepower you could have, is 2 heavy weapons and 2 light weapons at the same time. And that was really annoying back in the day, but not so much anymore. However, there's actually modules on this, I believe. There's modules on this, so you could actually get away with making this a little bit more effective. Back in the day, it was a heavy bot. Nowadays, it's not that effective, but it is still technically considered a heavy bot, even is only a tier 2 bot. Now, what you could do is, with the modules, you could actually go ahead and equip like lockdown ammo or something, so that when you did fire and it did hit somebody, they would be, rooted in place. That way, if they didn't have any shields or whatever, you could land a lot more shots on them that way. So anything that has an active module is going to be a better idea than trying to run something that does not have an active module, or some way to lock down or more easily hit your targets with Norricum and Zenit type weapons. I'm not sure if people ran this very much, especially, like I said, most of the time the build was Natasha. It was kind of more of a troll build, because everyone knows that once you get up, if you get within 300 meters of Norricums, they can't fire at you, which is kind of silly. But it's whatever. Next, I could imagine being Leo. So basically, you're swapping out a heavy slot for a light slot. So it's even less effective, but it also does have an active module on it. So you could put lockdown on ammo on that to try to make it even more effective. And then, if you were to, supercharge it, take it everything to Mark III, max pilot, max drone, or whatever, you could probably figure out just a little bit better what to do. Like I said, with lockdown ammo. And just try to do as much damage as possible. But either way, it'd mostly be more of a troll build than anything else. What I could recommend actually doing is, if you're going to run Norricums, there's multiple servers and people on Discord that will run old school tournaments and stuff, like Sage Retro Clan. So if you wanted to run them on those, that would probably be, a better bet than trying to run it in the day's actual game. Next is going to be, the only reason I recommend this is kind of the same reason I recommend the Patton, simply because you do have 4 light slots, but the Alkin could be interesting to try to run them on, simply because technically you do have a built-in weapon, so you wouldn't be completely defenseless if someone got within 300 meters of you, but it's also a very squishy bot. However, it also does have an active module, even though it's a light bot. So you'd be able to have a little bit more maneuverability. Also, you'd be able to kind of move a little bit quicker. Not like on foot, but flying, you'll be able to move just a little bit quicker. And you probably have quite a bit more maneuverability trying to launch Norricums while you're in the air moving around than just staying in one place. Only a few more. They're kind of questionable. The only reason I really put them on the list is because, like, you could probably figure out how to use them. They may not even, some of these bots may not even actually be able to fit Norricums on them. Because I know for a fact there's some bots, I don't know if they're still set up that way, but like there would be some bots that couldn't run certain weapons because of the way the weapon's kind of set up. Where is it? So the next one I wanted to really talk about, where is it at? Here it is. So the Loki, I think, would be interesting, because nowadays everyone uses a Loki for beacon running. So imagine it like this: you could have a Loki and you're using it for mostly beacon running, and this also does have an active module on it. So if you're using it for basically just beacon running, what you could do is you could throw Norricums on it, and you could basically just try to fire at, probably whoever's furthest away from you, most likely. But basically speaking, you would be able to run around capping beacons as much as possible, hoping there's not too many people with quantum radar or quantum sensor or something on their Titans, and basically be really really annoying because you wouldn't really be doing a whole lot of damage, and you would probably be getting any kills unless you really really know what you're doing. But I just think it would be like kind of silly, kind of little troll build. Um, but you would also be able to help your team out by capping a bunch of beacons at the same time. So I just think, could be interesting. I don't know how effective it could really be in the long run, but I think the best way to enjoy this game nowadays is to just play what you want to play, what's fun, and not worry about the meta. All right, so I was taking a drink of water. All right, next is going to be, hold on, where is it? Okay, next would be the Hades. So basically speaking, you actually look at the way the Hades is built. It's basically just a upgraded version of the Vityas, because it has the same amount of firepower, and then it has a few special perks to it that make it way better than a Vityas. So this is basically just a very upgraded Vityas. So if you can run them on Vityas, then you would think that you would run even more effectively on the Hades. So it has an active module. You can put lockdown ammo on it, and then you also have, if you already get into a pickle, you do have, your retribution. I think that, is it called retribution on Hades? I don't remember. Yeah, it's still called retribution on Hades. So you have your shield, and then you have your built-in weapon, just in case you get in a pinch where they do get too close to you. So that would be like, not the most effective build ever in the game, but it'd definitely be a lot more effective than a Vityas. There's 3 more left. What's next? Now, in the same ballpark as using it on an Alkin, you could use them on a Hawk, but even more effectively for multiple reasons. So, clearly you'd be able to run a couple of Zeniths, so you'd have even more firepower technically. Then you'd also have your built-in laser when you jump up, and you have that reflector. So you would, if you got to a pinch, you would be able to defend yourself a lot more, especially if you made it like really really tanky when it's maxed out. And pretty sure there is an active module on it. Yes, there is. Most tier 3 bots are going to have an active module. Just a couple more that are on my list. One that was actually not on my list, but I think would be interesting because I just thought about it when I was about to record this video, would be the Shell. So you wouldn't think to run these on them because it's kind of a brawly bot, but if you were to make it super super tanky, because you do have that blast, yeah, the Atom, whatever the ability called, because you do have that shock blast. If you were to make it really really tanky, basically you would be baiting people with the Norricums and Zenith to come get you, and once they got too close, they end up getting blasted right in the face. So that, like I said, I just thought of that just a minute ago, and I think that'll be really some decent way to try to run Zeniths nowadays. You probably still end up getting taken out fairly easily, but I just think it'd be fun, I guess, just fun, really. That's a couple more. For the same, now, basically speaking, this is almost for the same reason as running it on a patent, because you do have the 4 light slots, but on a Kefri, so you don't have a built-in weapon on Kefri, but you can make it super super tanky, of course. So basically just imagine like running around, probably with some speed skills, maybe just to avoid getting hit by any sort of incoming rockets or something like that. Like, not that many people are going to use aphids, but like the hurricanes or whatever, or just anything that can hit you without having to have direct line of sight. So just running 4 Norricums on that, I think would be. You could probably end up lasting the whole match. I'm not sure how effective you would actually be for your team, but like I said, fun factor mostly. And then the last one is going to be, almost pretty much for the same reason, the Nether. So you can just dash around shooting Norricums as best as you can at people, and just be really, really annoying to the point where people would want to come kill you. But one thing I forgot to mention that I just thought of, running any Norricum build, technically, like, you're not going to really be very effective with the Norricum build, but what you can do is basically, any Norricum build, you can bait. If you're like annoying enough, you can bait someone into coming into your spawn wherever you're sitting at using it. Basically, they can kill you, but then you can spawn right back on top of them. So not only are you annoying, but you're kind of baiting them to ambush them with a stronger bot that will probably be able to take them out. So that's one of the only reasons I could really see trying to use that, although you technically are sacrificing a bot, so you may not necessarily want to really max out a Norricum build. Basically just like have a low level build so they'll come after you to bait them, would be one way to do it. But yeah, I just think that'd probably be something that people could do if you wanted to. But yeah, that's pretty much how the ins and outs of how Norricums would work, and what robots they would kind of work on the best, or in my opinion, in today's meta. But that's like I said, it's still a pretty trash weapon. It's not anything that's going to be doing massive damage in and of itself. And that's pretty much all I have to say about them. So that's going to wrap up this video. Unjog. Ow!